Okay, I don't know how to set this video up, so I'm just gonna go into it. I just came back from my appointment with the Beit Din, with the rabbinical court for my Gior, my Orthodox conversion, under the rabbinut, all kosher, all by halacha, here in Yerushalayim, like done, done, done. And I'm so happy and excited to say that it went so amazingly. And I'm done with my process, which is crazy to me because it's been an 18-year-long journey of me deciding that I wanted to embrace mitzvot, that I wanted to live a Torah life. When I was like 18, 19 years old, the first version, the first glimpse into the Torah world is what attracted me to Judaism. And it took a long time to get to this point. And I guess I should back up and say, for those of you who don't know, that I did a Gior, a conversion through the conservative movement around 4 years ago or so. And even at the time, I was very open with my rabbi, explaining like, I want to live an Orthodox life. That's what I was pursuing. And even at the time when I went through that conversion, I was living an observant lifestyle. I became observant for 4.5 years or so ago. That's when I started. And even then, I knew that I wanted to live a Torah life and that the conservative movement didn't necessarily align with me. And I think I'll unpack this in a separate video someday, but at the time it felt like the right decision. That's what allowed me to move here to Israel to make Aliyah. And anyway, I knew that I wanted to finish the process. And I guess, honestly, I don't even want to unpack all the reasons I did this one either. I didn't want to share this on this channel, to be honest, because it was so hurtful and so invasive to have people tell me I wasn't Jewish after my first conversion, to tell me that I would never be Jewish. And look, there'll still be some people who say that, because they don't respect the authority of the rabbinut and whatever reasons. But I feel like I've now, at least for myself, between me and Hashem, gone through what I feel is really the process. And the weird thing is, because it's been such a long journey, because I became observant before all this, if I'm completely honest, it feels like I went through a bureaucratic process is kind of what I did. And that's okay, it's not... I think when I converted the first time, I was doing it for the right reasons. I was doing it because I wanted to live a Torah life, because I love Hashem, because of all all the right reasons came forth at that time. So nothing has changed for me ever since I opened. It went very quickly too. Like, I opened up my file here in Israel like months ago. It was maybe around September. I'll have to check. I don't even remember. But really, the process has been just going through different interviews. I started taking classes, but I didn't really need that level of classes because I'd learned before, so it all went very quickly. And so for me, this hasn't been anything of a change. It's not me adopting mitzvot, suddenly becoming observant, changing my lifestyle. It's me continuing who I am and how I've been living. And so I'm just relieved to have the paperwork. I'm relieved to start my life in a serious sense where I feel like I'm not in limbo. There's no asterisks above my identity. There's no having to explain myself anymore. There's just me. And I just feel free. Like, I feel like I've been in prison. Like, I literally feel like I've just been freed from prison. And the 18 years it took me to get to this point pale in comparison to whatever my neshama's been through in order to have been sent away in this sense and to be scattered out. I don't believe in conversion per se. I don't think that a real ger is somebody who changes who they are. I think you're born Jewish. I think that your neshama is Jewish. And I think your neshama was always that way. So for me, when I think about my conversion, and I just use that word because I have to, but I've grown so much closer to the idea of being a ger because that has been really my identity and my life's journey, and so much a part of how I've developed my relationship to Hashem has been through the story of being a stranger. At first as being a stranger out in the world and not part of Am Yisrael. And now, honestly, it's kind of flipped a little bit where I'm like this stranger within my family, within my country of birth, within the old identity that I was also part of. So it's just this kind of like ever shifting theme of understanding yourself as an outsider. And I actually think that's really beautiful, and I love it. And I embrace it. It's not something where I think people like to say convert or Jew by choice, which again, just don't resonate at all with me. But I think people tend to say that, and I used to say that at points early on, because the idea of being a ger, being a stranger, is so unappealing in a sense. But I can tell you, being one, it's a really beautiful way to know yourself, to understand yourself against the backdrop of the world that seems so different from you. And I don't know how much I can really say about that right now, but I'm proud to be a ger. I'm happy to be in this situation, and I'm most happy to be returned to Am Yisrael and to actually have my neshama actually be accepted by the rest of the community, because as much as I don't think I've changed, and as much as I don't think I've changed since the day I was born to my first giyur, and the first time I went into the mikveh, and then to this final process and what I'll go through next week, I don't think I'm coming out of the mikveh like suddenly Jewish. I think that's like a pretty, I don't want to disrespect anyone else's process, but I don't think it makes sense. I'll just say it like that. I don't think you suddenly become Jewish. I think that's just not how it works. So to me, that communal value of the rest of the nation accepting you is so critical to Jewish identity. And to have your fellows see you the way that you know and understand yourself. And I feel like now that that's matching up with the majority of the Jewish world, now that I'll have like a fully halachic, under the auspices of the rabbinut, giyur, all but the tiniest minority of the Jewish nation can everyone will accept that I'm part of that. And I really fought it for a long time, because I thought it was a ridiculous premise that you are what others say you are. Like, that just didn't connect to me. And that's why I did the conservative giyur at first, and among other reasons. But it was never because I believe in the Torah the way that the conservative movement presents it. Never thought that mitzvot are optional. And I think a big part, in all honesty, of why I really felt the need to do this giyur again under the Orthodox movement was to align to that truth more, and for me not to be misrepresented in the world as somebody who believes that mitzvot are optional. It's just not how I live. It's just not how I believe. It's just not what I stand by. And so I want to be the most authentic representation of myself as a Jew, and having a conversion, under a movement that I wasn't really so much part of in that sense, just obviously didn't make sense. And just kind of questioning how much to unpack that right now. I don't think I'll unpack that further, but point being, I'm relieved. I think I'm more relieved than happy, honestly. I'm happy too, but it's almost a little anticlimactic, because again, nothing's really, really changing. Nothing's changing in here. But on the surface, my life will change. And I guess I don't want to unpack that too much either, but I can just see that this is a pivot, like a turning point for me, and it's really relieving, relieving, refreshing. Again, I feel like I've been in prison. Like the idea of having your soul scattered and misaligned and not fully accepted as part of the people you know you're part of, in a spiritual sense. It's quite a journey. It's quite a ride. And I'm just glad that that part is over, and that I can start this new part of my life. So I'm sorry I'm not saying too much. I'm still processing it. This literally just happened, and I don't know what I'm going to do with myself now, because I just want to sit here and think about it. But I'm really excited. I'm happy it happened. And Bezrat Hashem, everything will go smoothly with the mikvah on Wednesday next week. And I'll be so happy and excited to start Adar fully finished with this process and with all of this behind me. So that's it. Sorry for a bit of an anticlimactic conversion story. This has been a long time coming. 18 years, 14 years between deciding I want to convert and doing my first conversion, and then another 4 some odd years bringing me here to today. So it's not like I've been thinking about this for a long time, and it's nothing crazy changing in my life or anything like that. So I just felt that I, obviously wanted to share that with you guys, because I know some of you guys have been really rooting for it. And I will say this, like, so much of why I didn't talk about this, well, one, it was a quick process. It was really bureaucratic at this stage, and it didn't feel good to have to think about people being excited that I'm going to do it like the right way. And people have really asserted their opinions on this channel over whether my conversion was halachic, why it doesn't make sense that I'm living this way but not Orthodox, why don't I just call myself Orthodox, why don't I do, everyone just had different opinions. And everything in divine timing, everything had to happen this way. It 100% makes sense for my path and my journey, that one, that I took this long, and two, that I went through like in a really like zigzag way to do that conservative process first, because I wouldn't have made Aliyah. Like, that's what afforded me to make Aliyah. So I 100% don't regret it. I know that for me personally, my process, I had to make Aliyah to really immerse myself in Jewish life, in the Orthodox world, to feel like this is my home. And I was able to do that because of my first conversion. So it made a lot of sense for me, and I would just appreciate people not asserting and interjecting or like overly celebrating the fact that I'm like now Jewish, because personally, again, I'll just say, like, I find that premise offensive and just wrong. And it's not even just from a sensitivity. I just don't think that's true. It's just not how I see it. I don't think I'm suddenly Jewish today and I wasn't yesterday. I don't think that, or like that I'll be Jewish after the mikvah and that I'm not today. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that way. So, I think most people do think about it like that because they haven't lived this journey and they haven't suffered this fate. So I think it's easy to have an opinion and think, especially when we use the word conversion, to think that it's really, somebody changing or becoming Jewish or accepting Judaism. I don't see it that way. I see it as a very, very, very long process of tshuva, and that I have finally returned. So I think the most important thing to me is that Hashem has allowed this stage of the process to go through, and that Hashem is ready for me. This is my bigger takeaway. More than that, I'm ready for him, that Hashem is ready to send me now into Am Yisrael in a way that I wasn't before, and I hope I do good things, and that's what I'm excited for. I'm excited to serve Hashem in this new way, with this new stage of my life. And it's just, it's an incredible honor to be able to say that, to be able to do that, to be able to live here in Israel, in Jerusalem, and to serve the King, you know? And that's how I feel. And I feel like I've been freed from prison, and now I can come out here and serve the King. That's how I feel. I think that's all I want to say. So thank you, and I'll see you guys later. Shalom Aleichem.